being recorded.
Woohoo! What?
And then we're going to go live with title. I liked last time's. It was a promenation. I'm very proud of that. Jonathan, you missed us playing Monster Prom, and don't worry, we'll make you play with us next time.
All right.
It's good.
This is going to be...
It went super well. We all got totally rejected, except Adam, who got to do weird sex stuff in a penguin mask.
with guacamole.
Mm-hmm.
With guacamole.
So what are we calling this?
A mess.
This is a mess. I've been just calling it like, I think it's Argent City Crime or something like that.
Argent City Crime Time.
Yeah. It needs a better name than that, but that's what I've come up with so far. I can't come up with like a spiffy blah in the blah title.
I really liked Villains by Straight Light, but that was it's not quite right there.
Yeah, so we can talk about this more when we get on air maybe, but I'm not leaning into the villain thing. We're criminals. Villains is what you become if you screw up a bunch, right? Villains is like what happens if you get lost in the life. You're criminals. You're super criminals. But like as you take traumas, you become more villainous.
Oh, okay. That is an interesting thing that I'd like to talk about at some later point. So let's remove villains from the title. Woo live test play. Criminals. Super criminals.
Like we're in the dark or something?
Super criminals.
Play testing in the dark.
Crooks in the night.
Super criminals. Forge in the dark playtest.
There you go. That sounds great.
Where do I put these other two dots?
Game.
Well, you're way ahead of us. Jeez.
What is that game that's normally called Forge in the Dark, but not Forge in the Dark? It's like
Blades in the dark?
Blades in the Dark. What?
You know,
Blades in the Dark is not a thing.
Well, no, because like D&D is
RPG.
the only RPG. Yeah, I don't even know if tabletop RPGs is a thing yet.
I know there's supposed to be a... Yeah, I don't know if they've done it yet. So we might still be in the D&D tag.
Throw some D&D. See what we get. There's a bark in the dark.
I saw that.
Barks in the park, something like that. Where you
it's
play
barks.
Like this... Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
No. Go on, Zach.
Where you just play this like pack of semi-feral dogs.
Not just dogs. Your dogs in Duskfall, actually.
Seems like a lot of fun.
I don't know.
I want to give
Let's
that
see
one.
here. We'll just do Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
Dragons. Save. Okay. If everything has gone well, if we are not live yet, we will be
I see
live
the name change.
by the time I finish slurring the sentence.
I see the name change.
Okay.
There we go.
So studio
That
mode is
D&D
checked,
podcast
editor
went
is checked.
live.
Okay.
Whoop whoop.
All right, we should be. Hi there, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome to another episode of Thursday, featuring that D&D podcast. Tonight, we are bringing to you a very, very special game of our own, Zach's design. It is a name that is currently to be determined. It is forged in the dark, and the theme is criminals.
TV in the dark.
Possibly the super variety. I don't know. We'll see. Take it away.
All right, hi everybody. So yeah, we're sort of between games right now. We're probably gonna pick up something again next week. This Thursday slot that involves. Oh no, we lost Jonathan. That involves super peoples of some sort. In the meantime, I've been poking around at this Forged in the Dark stuff, right? So I have in my life a long and storied love affair with superhero comic books. Specifically, like, especially, not necessarily the Avengers necessarily, but like the street level people, like Batman and Daredevil and Luke Cage and the Huntress and like those people, right? And so, I was looking at Blades in the Dark, which is an excellent game. Super cool, super fun. Does a really good job of street level crime feel in the game. And I'm like, I'll bet I could make that do Bullseye. And so, yeah, that's basically what this is. I have put some work. There's a whole lot more to come if this works, but I have put some work into a Blades in the Dark hack. This is a Forged in the Dark game. I'm going to go ahead and link my Twitter feed, specifically with the documents as they stand, in the chat. And this is just, this is Blades in the Dark, but with superpowers in an ostensibly modern city, essentially, of a fictional city. Very unlike Duskful, but with its own problems. Right? I'm also the only person here. No one's ever played this before. This is the first time. I might be somewhat visibly nervous because nobody's ever touched this before. Oh, hi, tiny person. So tonight we're probably going to be walking a lot of these 4 fine folks through character creation, hopefully through the first job, and we'll see how it goes from there. So I open the floor to questions, should they exist.
Yes.
All right. There are some things that are different than Blades, so don't feel bad if you have to ask me about my brain scratchings. Go for it.
No. You asked should questions exist. I said yes.
Oh, okay. Yes. Questions should absolutely exist.
Wait, Jonathan. What if there were no hypothetical questions?
Whoa.
Okay, so before Mike breaks all our brains with his superpower, I've scrapped the old playbooks from Blades, although there are definite parallels because those archetypes exist for a reason, and Mr. John Harper is a very smart man who definitely keyed in on something. We're keeping the same skills, the same action words, at least for now, until there emerges some sort of glaring issue that I'm not anticipating, because otherwise, again, Poetry Layer is great. Those words all are still crime words, right? Major differences, superpowers, obviously. Characters have superpowers, they spend stress to push themselves and use their superpowers. That's very different than Blades, although the Whisper kind of does that a little bit, but this is sort of on a different scale for everybody. There's no load or gear because you're supervillains wearing costumes, and you go and you do crime things as supervillains. So there's a choice on the sheet between sort of a loadout or a look or something for your character, whether it's I'm going to be playing the Kingpin style executive that has the business suit and the limo with the goons, or I'm going to be playing the deposed ruler of Atlantis with the scepter of power and
the scepter of Natsus.
Yeah. So that's and the part of the reasoning behind that, and it may be coming to question very quickly, I do not know, is that you have superpowers. I want you using your superpowers, and those are incredibly powerful tools to work your way out of virtually any situation. So you don't need to know that you have climbing rope and lock picks and things, because you can teleport through walls or freeze doors and kick them down or something, whatever the thing is you can do, right? And each of these is divided. There's 5 so far. There's probably going to be 6, maybe 7 when I'm done. Playbooks, which are the Demolisher. I'm going to do this by memory. I probably can't. The Demolisher, the Intruder, the Nemesis, the Overlord, and the Astromech.
That was them.
And they all have a specific load. Each of them has 4 powers, I think, right now to choose from that all sort of go with their ability. Right? The thing you would expect a Demolisher to be able to do, those powers do that. I don't want a Demolisher that has precognition or telepathy. I want a Demolisher that breaks shit, right? Similarly, I want the Mastermind to be able to know things for some reason, and it doesn't make sense that they're just super strong, right? So it's not as freeform as a lot of superhero games are in terms of, or superpower games are in terms of allowing you to select your powers.
Well, the freeform comes in choosing your book, which then filters you into the various powers.
Exactly. Exactly, and there are also powers that probably just aren't going to end up existing because they're too much. There will probably be no Hulks or Magnetos in this game, right? This is going to be something that's like Typhoid Mary, like maybe the high end of power that I'm aiming for, right? Like there are mutants, there are like mutant level powers. Like there's a Richter, there's Mr. Freeze, there's
Clayface might be it.
They need to show up in Marvel's Daredevil verse, or the Netflix verse, or on the Batman the Animated Series.
Yes, that's actually two very good
baselines,
very good sort of touchstones there, because these are street level people. They're not like Luke Cage went and demanded his payment from Dr. Doom that one time, and that's a thing that happened. But like Doom doesn't come to like the streets of Harlem or Hell's Kitchen and mix it up, right? Oh, I forgot the Overlord could have ninjas. Why did I not give the Overlord ninjas? We're gonna correct that error. Don't worry, internet people. So the rundown of the 5 classes is basically Demolisher demolishes stuff, smashes things. We're talking super strong, or freeze rays, or seismic powers, that kind of thing, right? The Intruder gets to places they're not supposed to be, whether that's by changing the way they look so they look like they belong there, or teleportation, or phasing, or something like that, right? They get in places they're not supposed to be. The Nemesis fights people. They're really good at fighting, and they're really good at fighting in a way that's kind of surprising, based on like they're not massively superhuman, right? They're not good at fighting the way Superman's good at fighting. They're sort of good at fighting the way Deadpool or Deadshot or
they're Deathstroke, Taskmaster,
Deathstroke,
Sabretooth, Bullseye,
and in all candor, that archetype of supervillain is one of my favorites. Very easily one of my favorites. So in my head, there's a lot of territory to grab from, right? The Mastermind, which should have been before Nemesis, but Mastermind was the one I did last. I actually did Mastermind yesterday, so it's sort of in my head in a weird place. Is knows things, whether it's because they can see into the future, or they can read minds, or they have perfect recall and processing of information they see, right? And they use that to, I think that they're one of their powers. So I'm trying sort of the experimental mode I'm doing right now, to jump ahead a little bit, is that there are certain types of abilities that every class or every playbook has access to. One of them is a flashback ability. Like if you're doing X in a flashback, the first time you use it in a job, it doesn't cost you stress, no matter what you do with it, right? So like the Demolisher, the first time they do a flashback that involves them smashing something that's going to come up later, that doesn't cost them stress, right? The Intruder, the first time you do a flashback that ends up with you somewhere you're not supposed to be, it doesn't cost you stress. For the Mastermind, you don't even talk about the flashback. You just say this thing falls into place, and we never talk about it again. But if you ever talk about it again, if you say why that happened, I'm going to charge you the stress.
Don't question my plans!
Exactly. I don't ever want it to come up again. I want it to be like the weirdest, eeriest thing. This just happened.
Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to.
Exactly. The last playbook that exists right now is Overlord. And Overlord has minions. For a while, and still a little bit, they had mind control powers, but I wasn't super comfortable with that, and what that could mean if the crew went weird. So we're probably going to avoid that. Instead, they just have robot minions, or biological duplicates, or psychic projections of themselves, right? But they have people that are in places that can do things for them, essentially, is their power set. So it's your Kingpins and your Dr. Dooms with the Doombots, and Mole Man, probably.
Actually, yeah. No, Mole Man, legit.
Lex Luthor with all of his corporate goons.
Do you see Mole Man? I think Hans Mole Man here.
Yes.
Simpsons reference.
Well, yeah, but I think the Simpsons reference is actually a Marvel Comics reference.
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
Mole Man was Fantastic Four #1, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, welcome to the stream, Mike. So, yeah, that's the playbooks. That's sort of the basic idea. I'm gonna pull up just in front of me sort of the. Oh no, I just closed the wrong window. The sort of what are you looking at? Verbs are the same. Quirks replace traumas. Essentially, as you trauma out, as you use up all your stress, when you use up all your stress, you're going to narrate some like super villainous way that you leave the scene, whether it's like my jet boots take me out of here, or I trick you into thinking that that robot duplicate of me is actually me and I'm actually gone and it explodes, or like something, and then you get a villainous quirk, right? And they are weird. They are things that are going to make you more like a more humorously villainous, right? So options include, but are not limited to, vendettas, where you decide that you really want to go. You need to deal with this person right now, and they must pay. They must pay, right? Or arrogance, where you just underestimate everything around you all the time, or monologuing. Or the word that I have no idea how to pronounce. Kayfabe?
Kayfabe.
I would say
Kayfabe.
kayfabe.
It's Pig Latin.
See, I have read that word so many times, but I've never actually pronounced it or heard it pronounced. Which is like the kayfabe is where you just like you never take off your rhino costume.
Yeah, you don't break character. It was one of those things that for like a long time, professional wrestling did not admit it in sports entertainment.
That's where it comes from.
Where Vince McMahon admitted in the 90s to New Jersey's Athletic Commission that the fights were rigged, people were pissed at it. Like, to this day, people are still pissed at Vince McMahon for doing that.
Yeah.
It's an old carnival term for basically just you keep the life, you don't show people, you don't go out with your buddy even though, he's your buddy, you fight because you're fighting him at the time. So
Yeah, and all these things are designed, like, they're in there as you get deeper into the life, as you, like, face more setbacks or push yourself harder, you'll become more villainous, because sort of the central concept of this game is that criminality and villainy are not the same thing. They're not synonyms, right? People become criminals for reasons that are non-villainous reasons, and people who are not criminals can, in fact, and are very often villains. And there's a number of things that we'll be talking about, maybe tonight, maybe some later date if we do this again, about what that means in the game and how that works. But that's why we were talking before we came on, I'm not comfortable calling it villains anything, because the idea is you start just like a regular person with powers that has to deal with this shit. And then you might, over the course of the game, be forced into villainy or choose villainy over your regular life. But as you become more and more villainous, it's going to get harder and harder to fit in, harder and harder to like live your life, and that's going to make things just generally harder in the game.
Yeah, it's the difference between being Electro, you're just in this for the money, just to use your powers and get paid, and being Dr. Doom, who is, Richards.
Yeah. So if you think about like the villains, like the big name. Sorry.
I was going to say, and like Dr. Doom's from the 70s, right? Like, because lately he's been nuanced. He's been like, I have this kind of best wishes for my people. I'm going to save the galaxy because I fucking can. No, we're talking, dude, like, what the fuck, Luke Cage? You don't get your money. I'm Dr. Doom because it's evil. Exactly. Also, I'm going to go steal 10 cakes because that's awesome. 4 times 10?
Yeah, because if you think about like the big, like, hilarious or like totally over the top comic book villain, they've got at least 4 of these qualities that are quirks, right? Like, Dr. Doom never takes his armor off. Never. Right? Dr. Doom has tried to blow up the moon more than once. Dr. Doom loves talking about what he's doing while he's doing it, so everyone knows how brilliant he is for doing the thing, right? And Dr. Doom has declared vengeance on Richards multiple times. And that's the idea, right? Like, you start a person who can, like, deal with shit and be normal if they have to or want to, and then you eventually can't anymore, right?
Broken.
Yeah, and the other thing that sort of goes into that. So I'm removing background and ethnicity or whatever the Blades versions were. We're like, this is the people you come from, and this is what you did before. We're losing that in favor of origin. This is your origin story, right? Where were you when you got powers? How did you get your powers? And like, what is the general situation about your powers? Were you part of a government experiment and now running from those people? Are you did you bargain for your powers with the space alien and now owe them for that, or these sorts of things? That's your origin story as a film. And then sort of the final big character idea is this need, right? Each of you has a reason that you're doing this, right? Because just getting superpowers isn't really enough. Like, turn somebody into a super criminal. Like, you can just like go still have a day job. That's fine. If you can make ends meet and life is okay, you don't have to get in, right? But you all have a reason to be here, and that's your need, and that's going to be a ticking clock that you eventually have to address, or hell is going to rain down on you. So, those are sort of the big concepts and how this diverges from Blades. Are there questions regarding that, around that? Do we feel like that all made sense?
Yeah, let's get into it and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
All right, so let's do some character generation then. Who wants to go first?
Oh.
Well, do we want to do it in like round robin for what each step?
Okay,
Or
yeah,
do you
sure.
wanna go full- that was a question. That was literally a question.
I was gonna say I've got a few things here, so I can kind of be the placeholder for a bunch of different things to show.
Well, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's start with Matt then, and we'll do a little bit here, and then we'll kick it around to see where everybody else is at. Okay. So Matt, I've got on the playbook sheet. There's sort of creating a super criminal. It's a real rough 8-step list. There's probably more sub-steps. For creating characters. So let's start with number 1. Visualize your character. Think about who they are, how they look, and what they want to accomplish. So, what is your character?
My character is named Lonnie McGillicuddy.
Okay.
He's old guy, technically a retiree at this point, though how he's still kicking around is anybody's guess. He goes by the name Death Parado.
Okay. Death Parado?
Yeah, Death Parado.
Okay.
Does he have a list? Because that would be amazing.
Shut up.
Oh, God. Does he wear, like, the full Zorro outfit?
He actually, looks these days closer to, like, the man with no name in a wheelchair, pretty much.
Okay.
So, and he's getting pushed around by, like, his caretaker.
All right, the man with the... Okay.
But what class is this septuagenarian sound, dude?
Nemesis.
So is he in the full, like, poncho and cape look?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
With the weird stovepipe cowboy hat? That whole deal?
Yeah.
Okay. Death Parado.
Yeah, like, the main thing, like, when he is villaining, of course, when he's got all this stuff on, because normally that's not what he wears, but when he's villaining, he's got that on, and he's got, like, this, like, skull-type mask, the skull bandana.
Okay.
He wears.
Okay. Does he need the wheelchair? Is he, like...
Oh, yes!
fighting
Heavens, yes! He's
the
old!
whole time? Okay, cool.
He's not hand-to-hand, though. He's a shooter. He's a shootist.
Oh, okay, cool. That sounds great. Death Parado. Let me make a note.
Actually, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a lisp and the voice I have in mind for him.
Don't worry about it one way or the other.
Yeah, no.
Desperado. I mean, I think it's actually the name is better without the lisp. If we're gonna be
that's fair.
Okay, cool. So that's a pretty evocative picture we're painting. So let's flip over to somebody else.
Oh
God. Okay, Mike. Mike,
Okay.
you're up. What you got?
My character's name is Damien Maine,
Okay.
alias the Aethy Fist.
You did decide to go with it. Great.
Damn it, Mike.
I hate you all. This makes me look horrible. I'm like, I got a cool idea, but the name sucks.
We workshop the name. We'll get it in post.
We did workshop the name a
Workshop.
little bit. Are you? I'm guessing you're Demolisher. Is that correct?
Yes. Damien's goal is to punch God.
Okay.
And he has the traditional look. So for those of you who played Monster Prom on Tuesday, my mental image for him is Damien from Monster Prom because that's buff red skin, horns, the traditional demon look, like 80s, but like a 80s like hair metal because of the main thing, right? So he claims that he's the son of Lucifer.
Okay. Is he?
Yeah, you're the fifth one I've seen.
So. Okay, so is this a transformation he undergoes, or is he like always the?
Well, so for his fitting in scene, I imagine that he's a kindergarten teacher.
Okay.
Right. And he encourages people to be atheists, even though he knows there's God.
Okay.
Because he's going to punch them.
Wow.
Because there can't be a God.
You're just getting them ahead of the curve.
I'm into this. Yeah, I know. Like once I'm done, this will be the obvious choice, right?
I'm doing it for you.
Note that he's not punching God to death.
No.
Right?
No.
Just punching God.
I was thinking if you punch God, you prove God exists, and then he ceases to exist or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Just
whole
your
thing.
default logic.
It's an ontological butt whooping is what you're doing.
But I think it might be one of those things. Like, I don't know how weird the city is, right? But it might be just that thing where, like, all right, well, fine. This guy's got horns. Our old teacher had tattoos.
So this city is exactly as weird as we want it to be. Honestly, like I'm not building it, and as I was talking about earlier, 3 of the 4 of you have already played in this setting, right? Argent City is already a place that you've been. Argent City's a weird place, kind of. I mean, being red and having horns will probably draw attention to you a fair amount when you're fitting in scenes, but
Right.
I mean, then they're just about that, and that's fine, right? That's okay.
Well, and I feel like he has to be like the harder edge of Steelport, right? Where it's like, yeah, there's a body mod culture in Steelport because it was the 90s.
Yeah.
Kids with your horns and your purple skin.
Like nobody wants to teach in Steelport. By the way, the high school in do you guys remember the name for the high school in Steelport?
Oh
Yes,
shit, no.
it's Liefeld High.
It's Liefeld Memorial. Go fight in pouches.
Yeah.
Do they have kangaroos as their mascot?
Yeah, the kangaroos and the mascot's a kangaroo. So like you're on like Teach for America or whatever the equivalent is, right? Because like nobody teach in Steelport, and so they're just like, okay, fine, whatever. Horns, yeah, we need a body with the kids. Go be with the kids.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm into it. Yeah, I mean, we'll come back to that. That's great.
Love it.
Yeah.
Jonathan, we'll give Adam another minute here, unless he wants to go now. We'll give him just a little bit more time to think.
I'll go. Okay.
Okay. Good.
All right. So I'm not certain about the naming here, but we're gonna go with this guy, right? I want you to picture in the future, like thousands of years in the future, probably, right? He lives in the future. He is super, super, super unhealthily into mafia trivia from the early 20th century and the 21st century.
Okay.
And along the day, one fateful day, he finds an ancient login to a Nile Inc. rucksack account. And inside it, he finds a diary written from the greatest supervillain ever, the Consigliatore.
All right.
As he studies this, as he phantasmically goes over it, he thinks of all these ways that he could improve it, and he does all this research and makes notes on how to better do the jobs the Consigliatore did. And then he realizes, as he gets to the end of it, that he has a way back in time.
Okay. So here's my question. So do you have a name, like a name for this person?
I was gonna write down Enzo Corleone, and I have no idea if it's fake or not.
I was about to push that. I'm like, okay, so is he a Godfather character? Like, is he a good fella? Like,
oh fuck yeah, absolutely.
okay.
This is definitely one of those things where he went back in time and realized I can be whoever I want to be, and so he acts like a horrible mafia stereotype because he thinks that's what you're supposed to. Like, his perceptions of mafia are through public media, not through actual interactions with mafia.
We talked about this a little bit before. Your masterminds, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and is your power essentially
Yes,
having known what's about to happen?
Yes.
Okay.
His power. Well, that and so the weird predestination thing is he takes notes as things go on. And so future him that was actually in his past knew to look stuff up, and now he has notes for it.
So is he scribbling in a notebook all the time, or is he is he doing the corporate douchebag talking to a recorder thing?
Dictaphone.
See, I think he definitely has some kind of text to speech thing going on. He records his events.
Are you just vlogging all of our crimes?
Is it shaped like a carnation or something that's in
Oh shit, yeah, a super obvious carnation. Well, all right, so where he found the account, I haven't figured this out yet, but I'm really tempted to say it's something he bought a first edition Rat Pack album or something, and the credentials were inside there.
Okay. Okay, all right. Okay, this can go some places. Matt, checking in real quick. What was your guy's full name again? Sorry.
It's Lonnie McGillicuddy.
Okay, Lonnie McGillicuddy. Okay. Cool. Great. Mick Gillicuddy or McGillicuddy?
Mick Gillicuddy.
Okay. All right. So that is Jonathan. Adam, how are you doing with the readings here?
I'm still working on things, but I can at least have a character concept that I can work
All right,
with.
Cool.
So this gentleman is probably some sort of former special ops, maybe a former Marine, sort of something, but it's not really necessary. It doesn't matter which branch. Doesn't matter. But he has the look of a former fighter.
Okay.
His name is Flynn Taggart.
Okay.
And his alias is Telefrag.
Yes.
We're playing an intruder.
That's one dude, Space Marine.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Flynn Taggart, Telefrag, the intruder. So when you say he looks like somebody, does he dress like former vet with the army jacket that hangs loose and the long hair, or does he have the crew cut and what's you say former military? What's he look like?
I'm thinking more Blazkowicz, definitely crew cut.
Okay. Crew cut, muscled up, former whatever. Okay.
Probably more lanky than bulky though.
Okay. All right, that's good. All right, yeah, we can work with this crew. I'm curious to see where we wind up with them. So we got names for everybody. We've visualized them. We've chosen our playbooks. Okay, so let's start back over, I guess, with Matt.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about how Death Parado got his powers. What is Death Parado's origin story here?
I mean, he was, he grew up in the Old West. Yeah, you call it the Old West now. It was just the West back then.
Like, for real? Like, is he like a billion years? Is he like 200 years old?
Well, it's not 200 years old. It's just like, well, it's more closer to like about 130 or so.
130, yeah. It's like a significant amount of time. Sure. Okay.
It's and I found this nice glowing rock one day out by the quarry, and from there I could see better. It cured my eyesight, and I could shoot real fine, shoot the wing off a fly from a mile away. Did real good.
Okay. Do you still have this glowing rock?
Oh, big thing. I got covered up by a landslide.
Oh, okay. So you had a glowing rock, and you like took powers off the rock, but now the rock is like inaccessible to you.
Yeah. Sometime after what was that? The Great War. Yeah, that one.
Okay. Were you out there like on a job? Was this in a quarry? Did you see it hit the ground? Was it a meteorite from space? Was it something that
it was a meteor. He found a meteorite, basically.
Okay.
He was out and about.
Okay. So you're like in the middle of a train robbery or something, and there's a giant meteor that comes down, and
They call it a science experiment.
That too.
Science experiment. Okay, cool. That's great. Glowing rock gave powers, is inaccessible now. Okay, cool. Yes. So you're from the Old West. You got your powers from a space rock, and that space rock increased your visual acuity and your hand-eye coordination and all that stuff to make you an amazing gunslinger. Do you have? So I'm imagining like you on the job, right, in this wheelchair.
Yeah.
Right. Do you have like holsters like all the way down the handles on either side of the wheelchair? Is it like a cross draw from either side? What is the?
Well, it's the saddlebags, and that's if I don't bring the Gatling gun in my lap.
Okay. Awesome. I'm into it. Okay. Damien.
Yeah.
Damien Maine. How did you get your powers? Or like, when did your powers erupt? What? Hit me once.
I've always said hit me. Not sure what you want to say. I mean, as the maybe Damien's already got the keyfab or keyfabe derangement, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
But yeah. No. Wouldn't you? As the son of the devil, I've always had the ability to, scare people and stuff and break shit.
All right. What brought you to the kindergarten class, Damien?
Oh well, it's really important to tell people when they're young about the truth about the way things work. That sharing is important, and money is just a capitalist construct, and like you can't own things, man. But like God isn't real, and sharing is important, and treat others the way that you want to be treated, and smash the state. The key foundations of an early childhood development.
Okay, that's great. Were you like the son? Were you born on Earth, or did you like get kicked out of hell? Did you get?
No, I'm just here to punch God, man.
So you weren't here originally?
Yeah, no, I came here, came up to Earth in order to punch God.
Did you come up here with a teaching certificate? Where did you do your student teaching?
Well, so it's real hard to find like an apartment in Steelport. Even on the Son of the Devil has a fairly substantial, lucrative bank account. But the trust fund didn't last forever, and really, it's important to be able to supplement my income.
All right.
It's been hard ever since the tech companies move in here, drive up all the prices on everything. Let me tell you.
And like, if I'm not, the state, which we should be smashing, says I have to register as like not having a job and stuff. And like, no, we're gonna stick it to the man by working.
Okay. Yes.
Smash the state from the inside. Punch God with 1,000 tiny fists.
The 1,000 tiny fists of 1,000 kindergarten.
That's right.
Kids are taking a field trip.
That's right. We're gonna punch God. All right. Is that at the church or?
I don't
Sure,
know.
why not?
Okay. So that's the atheist. Thank you, Damon. So Enzo Corleone.
So thank you. Moving on rapidly.
I mean,
I feel like we're doing like interviews for like this real world style show.
Pretty much. I mean, yeah, just like I'm trying to give everybody a chance. So, I mean, I really enjoy all the characters so far. They got some character to them for sure. So Enzo, you're from the future.
From the future. Yes.
And your power is based on the recorded information, your own recorded information. So you're just like, you are a time loop paradox unto you.
Yeah, entirely. Absolutely. See, when I said I wasn't certain about how Argent City and that weirdness works out, I decided, let's just ignore it.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm going to do, unless it comes up. Like,
well, and like,
for those following along at home, the original campaign that we did for like 5 or 6 sessions was superheroes, and Argent City, this place we are now, was divided into time zones. In that, like, one of them was in the 50s, and one of them was in the 70s, and one of them was in the 90s.
Yeah, but like literally time zones.
Yes.
Yeah. Like the one place had cell phones, where the other place was like, what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
size of a room.
Yeah, but somehow like the oldest place was also the most technologically advanced. Yeah, so we're probably not going to have that in this thing. Like, there's probably going to still be some time weirdness. The voyeur is still around. So that's a thing that still exists.
Thank God.
That show's disturbing.
It is pretty disturbing. It's pretty disturbing. I did not name the person.
I did.
I just want that known.
Yeah. Yep.
But they are the Uatu figure.
Yeah.
Watch from on high, like fanboy about what's going on.
They are the vaguely or incredibly uncomfortable Uatu figure.
Yeah. Not vaguely uncomfortable. Like,
so Uatu. Okay.
Yeah. So he's from the future. He's back here, and like, I assume he has a legit cover. Because it's a good idea, right? And it's not like he's actually plugged into the local mob.
Do you run a pizza parlor?
So that's the oh God. Okay. So that's the other thing I was gonna ask. Like, are you actually mobbed up? Did you like identity steal somebody to get mobbed up?
See, I don't know. I think it because like I very much have the idea that he is mostly a poser. So I'm wondering about that because like my initial thought, because it amused me, was that like his normal human life is he works as a longshoreman, because they don't do that in the future. It's awesome. It's like living in a Ren fair.
But yeah, like so that like Steel City Local 616 is like, yeah, no, that's perfect actually. That's perfect. You're like your own season of The Wire, basically. It's great.
So, like, I'm going to say, like, maybe the mob knows about him, but, like, at this point, he's strictly an independent contractor. Like, he'll put together jobs on the side, you know, and he might know some fellow guys from the union or the local who work with him. And, I mean, he is still a super criminal, so, like, that job was amazing. Like, I know.
I mapped out all 423 possibilities beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I imagine like really good. You already know like where each crate's coming off the ship every time. Like the foreman is getting like really frustrated with you because dudes are like going to you for their marching orders.
Yeah. Well, and, like, think about when he pulls a job. He knows where it ends up, so he knows who to fence it to.
Yep.
Okay, you put that causation dilemma right back where you found it.
No, it's okay. Let's see where he's going with this.
This is even sadder than Booster Gold, which is perfect. Like it's like Booster Gold, but like.
And, like, he's not leveraging the fact he's from the far future with magical tech or anything like that. He just studied real good.
He's been scanning.
And, like, Booster Gold came back to get famous. Booster Gold's like, I can go be a superhero in the past with all this, like, spiffy equipment. But, like, he was like, I'll make some money. I mean, I feel like you're like a crime tourist in the past. Alright, great. Thank you, Enzo. Flynn Taggart.
Yeah.
Bragg. So you're like crew cut. Do you have the like cut off army coat? Like the BJ Blazkowicz like gun show coat?
I mean, I don't see why not. No, so I was going with a very completely mundane government experiment background because having the government after us is always a good idea. I'm pretty sure.
It's going to be one way or the other.
So no, I see Taggart as formerly being trained as a deep cover wet works agent, where he was put in place to invade enemy territory, take out the priority target, and he did well. He did so well that they decided to inject him with a random chemical that governments have lying around.
They do the best experiments on their like most valuable operatives. I find
yes, to make them more valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I imagine that probably
this was the eggs in one basket program.
Yes. I imagine there was some messing with his head with that, and maybe there's just demons out there that need to be shot. But at least for now, he's just doing general crime. Because why not? You can now teleport around.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, if you're on the run, especially if you're Black Ops, right? Like, you already know, like, occasionally you got to raise money for operations, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
As a wise man once said, this ain't the March of Dimes. So you're out there knocking over places to get some sweet monies. All right, cool. Yeah. So I'm going to make a new step. So choose your special ability. So everybody automatically gets. So each class has an inherent ability, right? Each play whip. And part of the reason, and that inherent ability interacts directly with the powers for the class, essentially, right? So, like, the Demolisher, when the Demolisher pushes themselves to, like, smash things up, basically they get to pick which way something goes wrong, right? When the Nemesis pushes themselves to, it all interacts pushing yourself using stress, or using a scheme, or using Devil's Bargain, which I haven't forgotten, the Voyeur's Bargain.
Brilliant.
The
alter your fate,
pretty much,
which I am not supposed to alter in any way.
Actually, well, the Voyeur is not bound. Kind of no. The Voyeur doesn't have rules. It was Time Force Alpha Prime TFAP was what he named you, the team of people he put together to fight the time stream shit.
That's a good point. Like, we were explicitly formed to go fuck up the time stream.
Fight the time stream.
So he's not, or they. I don't think we've ever actually gendered the voyeur besides me doing it accidentally. Are not bound by that, by the no intervention rule. David, who is also a member of the podcast, gave me an idea on Twitter of having the voyeur be a person that can get you out of jail. So in this game, if you go to jail, everybody knows you're a supervillain now, right? That's and that's going to be a huge problem for a lot of people. So maybe the voyeur pops you out of that problem. But where was it? Oh yeah. So each of your classes has an inherent ability, and the nemesis gets to pick the way that they hurt, or the way that they impress the people that they're fighting. The demolisher gets to pick how things fall apart around them. The lurk gets to pick how they get into places they're not supposed to be, and that sort of thing, right? But you also, when at character creation, can pick another one of the special abilities from your list, right? And all of them, and all the classes have, I think I managed to get them all to 6 to pick from. You each have one that governs flashbacks, one that has a super ability, which is basically your special armor from Blades, which is a thing you get to do for free once per session, or spend Scheme on if you have it. Scheme is a crew-wide resource that you can spend to defend yourself or declare flashbacks or activate your superpowers.
Ooh, I have a question.
Yeah.
So do I.
So you've talked about the inherent ability. I know that a couple of them I've seen have this big or in the middle of it.
Yes.
Is that a permanent or is that at each time or?
That's an each time or. Each time you get to make that decision. It's just like with the Blades abilities, Blades special armor abilities have that or as well. Right? So every time you use it, you get to make that call. So for example, if you are building a, where are they? If you're building a demolisher, since it's the first one out here, right? Rend Asunder. When you push yourself to use your powers, choose one of the following: the destruction cascades unpredictably beyond the initial target, or the destruction is catastrophic and irreparable. Right? You get to pick one of those two things. Every time. So sometimes you might accidentally watch buildings bookshelf into each other down the street, and sometimes you might just level a building so it can never be repaired. Adam, you had a question?
I have 2. First, what's a flashback?
Okay, so
You take a lot of drugs.
So flashback is, and this is actually a very interesting question for the guy who might have post-traumatic stress, I guess. The flashback is a mechanic in Blades in the Dark, where you can, because each of the the gameplay loop is go on a job / heist, right? Do the heists, come home, collect your money, do other things for a little while, go back in, do the job, the heist, right? So it's the main action point is heists, right? So heist fiction or crime fiction, there are flashbacks where you as a player can be like, we totally would have taken care of this, actually. I would have bribed that guy and he wouldn't have been here at all, or he would have just let us through the door, or no, I came by and jimmied that lock earlier so I didn't have to do it now, or something like that, right? Most of the time, those flashbacks cost you somewhere between 0 and 2 stress to declare, depending on how audacious they are, how big and wild the thing would be to have done.
Okay.
There are moves or special abilities for each playbook that take that away, essentially.
Sure.
Because it makes sense that if you're the infiltrator or the intruder, you're supposed to get into places. So, yeah, I was just in the DMV changing the records or something is totally a reasonable thing for you to say.
Okay. And then my second thing was that I have a special ability that does not have a definition.
Oh no! Is that the? Yeah, that is from the shadows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a work in progress. Sorry, I'm working on it.
That's fine. I mean, there's plenty of other interesting ones. I don't.
For those watching, I'll reiterate the link in the chat is contains the documents the players are working from, as well as the this geography of the location we are. Just like Blades has Duskfall, we have a place called Argent City that has various neighborhoods, each of which has its own weird vibe and silliness going on. Specifically, Silver City is basically like it kind of turned into like Silicon Valley a little bit in the modern age, and like in terms of comic books, it's the big shiny skyscrapers that have like Sleuthler inside of them, right? The Steelport is the 90s, is what the now version of the 90s, like dark era of comics with violence and street crime and things like that.
Bloodhaven.
Yeah, it's Bloodhaven, Hell's Kitchen, Baltimore, Pittsburgh kind of a place, right? Then Bronze Bridges, which I haven't actually detailed yet. I'm still kind of trying to figure out how that goes, is the sort of 70s San Francisco that you see in the Marvel books. It's eclectic. It's got a bunch of people from different ethnic and social backgrounds. It's got a bunch of colleges. It's got a bunch of... Basically, it's sort of the grab bag. It's one of the only places in town that's like halfway decent place to live, actually. It's also, in Marvel Comics, you can also look at it as being sort of Harlem, sort of Chinatown sort of area. Where the crime there is very insular and local in a lot of ways. Crime doesn't come in from outside a whole lot because, while there are things that are of value, it's not like you're knocking over the labs in Silver City or like taking stuff off the docks in Steelport, right? So that's a different vibe. And then the one that I've added a little bit, Old Argentum, which is Gotham City, essentially. It's where all the Blue Bloods... It's like the Blue Bloods and the servant class live there and have these big Gothic structures and, like, old histories, and Batman's a vampire now. Like, that's that. So I think those are probably the four that I'm going to try to flesh out first. I've got Silver City and Steelport in a place I'm pretty happy with. Old Argentum I've started working on a little bit, and I haven't touched Bronze Bridges at all, because like I said, I'm trying to make sure I'm being properly sensitive. Like, that is the one that's going to touch on the era of comics that were like the most problematic with their like racial stuff and that sort of thing. So I want to make sure I'm approaching it like sensitive to that, in a way that's sensitive to that. So yeah, how are folks doing with their choices?
I got mine.
I think I'm good.
Pretty sure I know what I'm looking at here.
Okay. All right. Well, do we want to start back at the top then?
Sure.
What do you have for me, Lonnie McGillicuddy?
So we're looking at dots or the abilities?
Let's talk about the abilities first.
Uh-huh.
And then we'll go with dots.
So ability-wise, my basic one I have is the stand to thwart. So that's when I push myself. I can either have my display of prowess draw the attention of the greatest threat present, or I exact a dear price from my foe. The ability that I'm going to select, I think I am going to select... I don't know. I'm kind of a little bit torn between, but I never miss, and Trophy Hunter. Those are both excellent ones. I think I'm going to go with Trophy Hunter, though, just because I think it fits a little bit better.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's great. Yes, so you get You get your inherent ability and the extra special ability, and I think Trophy Hunter fits especially for your old guy and the one who's been around forever, right? Like
Yeah, basically, it's like I took this off the Black Shadow back in the 40s.
Those would be the 1940s. Even older, 1840s, right?
No. Well, there was that one time. Hey, so when do we go back in time, back to the 1840s?
Oh God, I don't even want to talk about time travel right now. Okay, yes. All right, cool. Damien,
Yes.
have you made your choices yet?
Oh, I start with the choice between power, destructive energy blast, enormous superhero might, ice beams and cold powers, or vibration, cold, and
Oh
projection.
yeah, we didn't talk about that with Lonnie at all. We'll come back. Well, sorry, Lonnie.
Oh,
come back.
yeah.
My powers are enormous superhero might. My demolition gear is Racketeer, and I'm picking that simply because.
Title. The name.
Yeah, that's right. It
Oh,
reminds
yeah,
me. It reminds me very much of the old 40 game, and that is the. I made it to Racketeer, and I was like, oh well, I'm making a God Puncher.
Well, go ahead and read the gear associated Racketeer for our audience.
Pulse jump boots, blast padding, and a taste for adventure.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much Rocketeer, but with wrecking.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll hell flavor that. So like,
yeah, no, that's
like
fair.
like bat wings, like fire gauntlets, and a taste for rock and roll.
Yes, yes, those are meant to mostly be guide, sort of in the same means as an Apocalypse World game playbook. They're meant to serve as guidelines and sort of thought
Trappings.
Yeah, totally.
Like they're things for you to hook onto and be like, okay, I kind of want that thing. The player the player info page has the very last thing I put on it is just a thing paragraph that's magic, super science, and you. And it's basically like just make the things you want to have,
right?
And it's fine. So yeah, if you want to have like fiery gauntlets to punch God with, like, or just like a gauntlet made out of darkness, right? That you're gonna punch God with.
Can it be a left hand of darkness?
Yes.
Oh. Yes. Of course it should be.
Sure can. Go for it. Yeah.
It's a left hand of darkness, and the other one is just a crystal fist.
Nice.
Cost me $5. It was pretty good.
Okay. Lonnie, sorry, what were your gear?
Gear. I have that. That's a thing. So my gear is the traditionalist with the arcane arsenal, obviously.
Okay.
And then,
so do you have a bunch of like old pepper box weapons and like cat pistols and things?
Yeah, you betcha. This old trusty Bessie never let me down yet.
You got like a swing action shotgun that you have to like load and then cap and then close.
Yeah. Gotten real good at loading it too.
It takes me barely a minute.
That's why you bring all the guns, like literally.
Oh yeah, it's like the old pirates. You know, you just fire it, drop it off, and pick up the next one.
Yeah.
Wheelchair sport.
The old pirates are also
like
what's his face from Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Reaper. Yeah.
You just have like a trough / moat around your wheelchair that catches the dropped guns, right?
Well, I just drop it in the saddlebag, or I have my caretaker reload for me.
Oh god, is the caretaker coming on missions?
Oh yes.
That's going to be my pet. Is that okay?
Can he be a butler?
That's fine.
Yeah, they just constantly pick them up.
I'm toying with the between it being just like my hired caretaker, a loyal minion's like grandson, or my own great grandchild.
Imagine somebody's like in like blue hospital scrubs with a bandito mask on.
Yes, that's exactly it. That is exactly it.
I just picture like this family that has like continually filled this role as they go off before college to make money for, like to pay for their education. It's just a thing.
Well, if you want to make it in the world, you're gonna dang well help me out.
There's a rotation of great grandchildren that's pushing you around.
They take a couple years off to go and help grandpa, and then they get paid college.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good deal.
With the finest penmanship of a recommendation letter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If they survive, nobody said this was an easy job.
God, I'm going to get one of your grandkids shot or arrested. You know that, right? That's happening. One of the setting Superman equivalent is punching one through a wall.
Oh yeah. Let's do this.
Like scooting away as fast. Okay. Enzo Corleone.
I think Mike hasn't finished yet.
Oh,
Mike started to do the powers.
Oh yeah.
So I want to read these special abilities because these are amazing. The first one is a smash in time. Bringing down the house, which is good. I get up again. That's good. I've got friends that blow places. Seize the means of destruction. Which is just amazing.
I will say that the Demolisher was easier to write, like the weird, funny, like the weird, silly names for, because in my head the Demolisher is more humorous a character than the other ones. Right?
I'm leaning into
Everybody
it.
loves the Rhino.
In your head.
Well, in my head, the Demolisher is like this, because if you think about it, so like in the comics, right, the Rhino is the Demolisher, like on the Sinister Six, right, and the Demolisher is the like comic, or the Rhino's like the comic relief character a lot, right? And the Rhino gets stuck in places, doesn't understand what's going on, all these things, right? Orca from Marvel Comics, classic Demolisher. That guy's a weirdo, right? So like in my head, that's sort of the vibe for that playbook in a lot of ways. Second to that was the Nemesis, because the Nemesis has like Deadpool and these other people in it that are like, and it's like basically Deadpool and then all these people that are so super self-serious that you can make basically any joke you want at their expense, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, yes, Mike, what did you wind up picking? So your inherent ability is Rend Asunder, yeah?
Correct. Rend Asunder reads, when you push yourself to use your powers, choose one of the following. The destruction causes destruction cascades unpredictably beyond the initial target, or the destruction is catastrophic and irreparable. I'm actually going to pick Unstoppable. You gain one super. You may expend your super to push when smashing through something particularly tough, or to resist harm from physical force or scenery. That gives me a pool of 2 supers, right?
No, that gives you a super.
Okay.
You only have 1 super. Scheme, which I'm going to start you guys out with some, and then we can talk about more when downtime comes up. You can be used to activate supers, but it's a crew-wide resource.
Okay.
You have as many super as you've gained through your powers.
Yeah.
Right?
Then I'm definitely taking Unstoppable.
Cool. Great. Now, Enzo.
Hey. Alright, so we were talking about powers, which I've added one to my little list here of basically crib notes from the future. That's basically the bulk of his power.
Okay.
Mastermind gear, it's gonna be pretty close to tactician, but I kind of see like the tactical HUD projector to me to look like old man glasses, like the reading glasses. Yeah, not like sunglasses, like the kind you wear when you read up close and stuff like that.
Like the big,
Yep. And then like he's always dressed in, a nice suit, wears a fedora properly, and the only thing I think I'm going to say that like for his like super villainy stuff is that like his face is a blur. It's gonna be some kind of weird future tech or something like that. Just because, like, I don't see him wearing a mask, but at the same time, it'd be bad not to.
Well, yeah. Does he have like? Is it part of like the hat / suit combo?
Oh shit! No. I'm
What if it's?
it's a little holographic projector, and his face always looks like some famous mobster of the past.
Okay.
But, like, it's always one that like is dead or in prison or something like that. So, and every once in a while, it's like somebody who just is a regular businessman and nobody knows why it's there.
Okay, I like it.
I have to write that down so I don't forget that.
Yes, definitely do that.
Anyway, so their inherent ability is called part of the veal. When you push yourself to use your powers, i.e. study cryptonotes from the future, choose one of the following. You know something about what is going on that you shouldn't, because, Super Google in the future is awesome. Or you've seen this before and didn't turn out well the last time. Because, again, Super Google is awesome. So we have that going for us. And then I have to take Uncanny Intellect, but I'm totally renaming it Meticulous Planning.
Okay.
I picture him as actually being super duper smart. Like, a really good memory, but not, like, creatively playful.
Okay.
That lets me basically say the first flashback you declare during a job is free, provided it involves a seemingly impossible coincidence that you never explain, because it's also fun to do that shit. And it makes me better at capitalizing things that I shouldn't have known about ahead of time, which is sort of like my whole shtick.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I will absolutely charge you the stress if you do tell anyone how that happens, right? If you go bragging about what you know. Okay.
I think he has, like, just enough grasp of the concept of, like, temporal paradoxes to not.
The more people who know about this, the harder it is for me to remember this shit. Yeah.
Well, when we get to the rivals, I will explain, because I totally haven't realized that.
Yeah, cool. Flynn.
Yes. So, obviously, as powers, I went with short range teleportation.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure for intruder gear, I'm going with wet worker.
That sounds pretty close to what you're talking about already. Yeah.
Yeah. Inherent ability was trespass against. When you push yourself to use your powers, choose one of the following. You evade or circumvent an obstacle in a way that is impossible to replicate without your abilities. Or your presence where you're not supposed to be wreaks havoc on your surroundings, aka telefrag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or like Shadow Cat jumping through a send button or something like that. Yeah.
And for special abilities, I don't know what was the best option or what was in-game mechanics, but I wanted to go with one step ahead. Whenever there's a question as to who acts first, it's you.
Mm-hmm.
When this comes up, pushing yourself to use your powers to escape only costs 1 stress.
Cool. That's a good one. Yeah, because you always get to go first.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So that is everybody through step 5. Do we have any questions about? I know that 4 of us have played Blades. Adam, have you played Blades before?
No.
Okay. So you get to. So every playbook has. I'm at action totals now. Actions for skills. Every playbook has 3 dots to assign. From just having that playbook. So like the Demolisher gets 1 skirmish and 2 wreck, right? The Intruder, which is Adams, gets 2 prowl and 1 survey. And so those words, they're basically what they sound like, right? If you just think of them as like synonyms for what you're doing, you use the thing that sounds like the word that you're using, right? So if you're going to be prowling, that means you're like being stealthy or climbing around or something, right? If you're surveying, you're looking at stuff. Skirmish is how you fight, especially like up close. Hunt is how you find people to fight or shoot from a long ways away. So yeah, everybody gets 4 dots beyond what their playbook gives them to assign. You don't go above 2 yet. I haven't done crew playbooks yet. I'm not exactly sure what they look like yet.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Lonnie, do you have a good sense for what you look like here?
Dots wise, yeah, pretty straightforward actually.
Okay.
Good smattering of stuff. 2 in the hunt, obviously. 1 in survey. 1 to finesse. 1 to prowl. 1 to skirmish, and 1 to consort. I'm a people person.
Well, don't forget you start with 2 skirmish.
Do I start with 2 skirmish as a hound?
No, it's not a hound.
Yeah, but it's different.
Oh, I missed.
You are something completely separate. But yes,
right.
I will start you with 2, or I will start you with 1 with 2 in hunt. You get 1 free in hunt and 2 free in skirmish, I believe, with a nemesis.
It's 1 in or 2 in skirmish, 1 in hunt.
1 in hunt.
So if I do,
please feel free to readjust yourself.
Let's see.
However you feel necessary.
1, 2, 3. Nope, that's fine. I just take 1 off a survey and we'll put.
I will also say that if you're like mixing it up and like there's ninjas or security guards coming at you with jock batons and you're gunning them down, that's probably more skirmish than hunt. So
that's fine. I've got 2 in skirmish and 2 in hunt now. 1 to survey, 1 to finesse, and 1 to consort.
I'm loving the idea that you have 0 in prowl because you have wheels.
I need it to be wheelchair accessible.
Oh, the American Possibility Acts.
I was gonna say, is this heist ADA compliant?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll work it out anyways. Billy, just roll me up the stairs. It's fine. I'm Johnny, Grandpa. Whatever.
When did Billy leave? All right, Damien.
All right, so by default, I have 1 dot in skirmish and 2 dots in rec.
Mm-hmm.
Giving me a prowess of 2. I'm going to take 1 point of attune and 1 point of command.
Okay.
1 point of. So the inside skills always toss me for a loop.
All right. Well, so I'm gonna ask a question about your kindergarten class. Specifically, what skills make you a good and/or qualified and/or non-terrifying kindergarten teacher?
Do you have
Command.
Okay, so are you managing of 5-year-olds via force of will? Is that what you're doing?
No, like I give them things to do.
Okay.
Like they present me projects on how to overthrow God.
Okay.
pick a government? Tell me how you'd overthrow it.
Like I think I'll also take a point. Like, I don't know if study is a good thing for Damien, but like.
I mean, you got to read those religious texts to figure out how to get to God, right?
No, there you go. So 1 point in study. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Sorry. You currently with no points in study. You have 2.2 dots left.
So I took a point in study and another point in skirmish.
Okay.
So I have 1 study, 2 skirmish, 2 rec, 1 attune, 1 command.
Yeah, planning on punching God. That's pretty dodgy. All right. Okay. I believe that brings us to Telefrag. Lynn Taggart.
Let's do Jonathan's first.
Oh, Jonathan, sorry.
Sure.
I'm not trying to skip Jonathan. I apologize.
Well, as a mastermind, I start with 1 in study and 1 in survey. Both of those seem appropriate. I'm going to add another 1 to the study, because it seems to be actually the big thing, I think, for my character.
Okay.
He is a longshoreman, so I'm going to put a top in prowl.
Okay.
The physical stuff. And then that leaves me 2 points to toss into command, because bossing people around feels very mafioso to me.
Okay. All right. Okay, so just bark orders at people and expect them to pay attention to you.
Well, it's also like force of command and stuff like that. So, intimidate or threaten. So that was the other part. Like the first part was like, oh, okay, intimidate or threaten. Yeah, need some of that.
Okay. All right, great. That seems great. Okay, so now Adam. Now tell Trey.
Now for Taggart. So I start off with 2 in prowl and 1 in survey.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure. Once again, what'll serve well. So I've tentatively done 1 in tinker, 1 in wreck, to sort of simulate the destroying of things and whatnot. I figure he's probably got like old army buddies and stuff, so I put 1 in consort.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't have a 4th pip yet. Right.
Okay. No, that seems fine. Tinker is how you like work on things without destroying them. Wreck is how you work on things by destroying them, right? Consort is finding and weaseling your way into groups of people, or finding people and getting them to give you the time of day. Hunt is tracking people down and or fighting them from a really long ways away, basically sniping. Right? You're hunting. Study is reading things and going out and researching stuff. Finesse is like real detailed work, or coordination. Finesse is also in Blades how you do vehicles. You want to drive things, but you can teleport, so you don't need vehicles.
Oh my god! Yep.
Skirmish is the I'm actually in a fight skill.
Mm-hmm.
Attune in this version is sort of weird ways, like ways that are not obvious. Command is giving orders and or intimidating people, and sway is like charming people or getting them to come around to your side of things.
So I'm assuming you can use prowl for violence, since it does say ambush with close violence.
Yeah, if you get the drop on somebody, yeah.
Yeah, once that's done, is like skirmish the main combat skill, or?
Well, if you are sticking around to fight someone, like,
okay,
if you teleport in, shoot a guy, and the fight ends, then you use prowl. If you teleport in, shoot a guy, and the fight's still going, and you don't teleport away, then you're probably skirmishing.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of a character that'd be good at one and not the other. Because, like, Spider-Man, when he's jumping around and doing, like, the Doc Strange thing in the one movie, I'm like, yeah, that's totally prowl. But, like, when he actually just gets into a fist fight with somebody like he does, that's skirmishing.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I think we'll work him more as an alpha striker, not a endurance fighter. So I might just throw another one in Tinker, since I don't want to spread out too far.
Okay. Well, the other thing to keep in mind is occasionally you'll be doing things called resistance rolls.
Okay.
Which is when you roll insight, prowess, or resolve.
If you look at your character sheet, there's like a down one. Like if this was our crossword puzzle, there's also a down row, that first row.
Yes.
And the first dot in each of those skills gives you a resolve point or prowess point or an insight point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So in this game, because you are playing in Base Blades, you're playing like scrappy, daring rogues, right? In this game, you're playing like roguish, superpowered people, and so part of that is like just being able to look at a problem. I will say a bad thing happens, and you're like, nah, doesn't happen. And to do that, you're like, that doesn't happen because insight, I see it coming, or prowess, I dodge it, or a resolve, I just decide it doesn't happen, right? And as soon as you say that, it doesn't happen, right? But you then have to roll. You then hit the button of the attribute, and you roll as many dice as there are dots in that down row.
Right.
And then you subtract the higher value you get, the highest value you get from 6, and that's the number of stress it causes you. Right?
Okay.
So the more dice you roll, the easier it is to just be like, nah. So the more spread out you are up that row,
that helps.
Yeah.
So maybe doing one more resolve skill wouldn't be a bad idea.
Not a terrible idea.
Okay. So I was gonna talk more about this when we picked friends, but I think Taggart died when he got injected with Agent X, whatever we're gonna call it. So we're gonna go with one with a tune.
Okay.
Huh. Okay.
And we can always, theme teleportation is, popping into the netherworld to get somewhere a little faster.
Okay, I like it.
It's like Scorpion meets Doom Marine. I'm pretty okay with this.
So you've been to hell too, then?
Yes.
Oh God, yes. Okay, so we got future knowledge. We've got demon fists. We've got netherworld teleportation, and we've got immortal gunslinging skills. Okay.
Great.
Okay. What is left? I believe we have
And then enemies or rivals.
Okay, yeah. So at the very bottom of your playbook, there is pick your contacts. So there is a list of people that are somehow related, theoretically, to you and your crime style, right? Demolishers have people who smash things or break things up. Interiors have people that get places they're not supposed to get, blah, blah, blah. Pick one of those to be your friend, somebody you're on good terms with, you've worked with in the past, or they know you and like you. And the other one is a rival, somebody who doesn't like, somebody who knows you and may have worked with you before, but isn't like super, doesn't think you're super cool. Like they're more distant. They're not your enemy, but when you come to them for help, they're gonna be like, okay, what can you do for me? Essentially, right?
Trying to decide.
Why do I keep forgetting the name of this person? Probably because it's Lonnie McGillicuddy. Lonnie, would you like to go first?
Yeah.
Death Parado.
Death Parado.
My friend is Elf, the terrible toy maker. We found out Santa existed back at the turn of the century. And this little fellow was a real mean streak, got cast out. He does good work, makes mighty fine. He got some toys. Implements of death is more closer to it, I think.
So this is your friend?
Yeah.
Making a note that it's an actual elf. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and your rival?
Russell Von Stahl. He's some rich, stuffed up so-and-so. Big game hunter. Goes out on safaris all the time. Says he hunts superheroes, I think.
Now, did Russell also have the experience with the meteor that you had? Like, is Russell from way back in the day?
No. So I met him back in the 60s when he was still in college.
Okay. All right.
That was the 1960s. I feel like I have to specify at this point. Thanks for dating me.
Oh, it's alright, I wouldn't date you.
I'll have you know I was a fine, handsome man back in the day. Still am. Silver Fox, they call me.
I bet your sarcophagus is real pretty, old man.
Yeah, hey!
And we're back to Monster Prom. Damien, what you got for me? Friend first here.
My friend is Templeton, the loose cannon pyrotechnic, because yeah.
Loose cannon pyrotechnician Templeton, excellent. And your rival?
Fergus, the militant recycler.
Fergus, the militant recycler. Okay.
I'm literally going to take those off as written because it paints such a lovely picture of rivalry.
Yeah, like, are you...
I think Fergus is my roommate, and I just don't.
Oh, God. So, as the son of the devil, what is your feeling on environmental awareness and protection to your mic?
You see, it's a racket, right? But first of all, they just dump it in the ground, man, and you know what's in the ground? Hell. And when the people who come to take away your trash, we don't need to make their lives harder by putting things into like all these different bins and stuff, and they're just gonna throw it in the same bin anyways, and who cares? We'll just burn it.
Okay, that's very specific. I like it. Okay, Enzo.
Yeah. All right. So the one thing I haven't answered is how the hell he traveled in time. So like, I don't think it should be a common thing, and it's definitely not something he can do again.
Okay.
And so because it's weird, and I also like the idea of being in a hawk to somebody who's basically loaned me more money than I can actually repay. So now I just have to do stuff for him. I'm gonna go with Brant again, a rhyming demon who exists outside of time, and so like he's the dude who sent me back, and I'm in hawk to him, and the Vig is running.
Okay, and this is your friend?
Nope. This is the rival.
Okay. I was like,
so both of mine are very blurry. Because like they started in opposite places, and I just swapped them because it felt more mafia to me.
Okay.
So the next one is going to be this is all abbreviated: reality integrity, chronological, officer. Next. It's Rico. Because it amuses me that the guy against the mob is Rico Ness, and his job is to kind of pay attention to like reality distortions and stuff like that and try and fix it. So he is obviously around Argent City for reasons, but he finds me as an incredible resource because I seem to know what's going to happen. Either I haven't decided if he hasn't put it together yet, or if he just thinks I'm too useful, or I have something on him. Because again, the last one's very mafia.
Okay. Yeah.
To corrupt the time cops.
Yeah, like he's a time cop that came back. He's like, what? Fuck it. They don't pay me enough for this. This place is actually kind of nice. I'm gonna hang here. Yeah.
Well, and like, I think if he is from the future, like I am, he is not from the same future. Like I'm further ahead than he is, so I know a bunch of shit he doesn't. So I'm almost too useful to get rid of.
Just a conga line of time travelers.
Well, I love the idea that basically I'm helping him make his numbers, and so he doesn't want to fuck with me.
So Rico Ness, temporal disturbance detective.
I put it down as a time cop trying to tamp down on Argent City weirdness.
Okay, time cop. All right, that's great. Is
Rico?
Flynn.
Yes.
What's about yous?
So for the ally, I chose Selena the cat burglar.
Okay.
So I figure that she's probably the one that's helped him repurpose his more murderous past.
Okay.
And something that makes money. And then for rival, I chose Charon, Gatekeeper of the Underground.
Because I know this person.
Because I keep on meeting him for some reason. He's kind of annoyed that I haven't.
Where's my
crossed the river
silver?
Styx
Damn
yet.
it. Okay, yeah. No, and like, he knew you before you knew him because there were times when like he got real busy, and it was your fault. right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, cool. Just real quick. Okay, I think the next step is needs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, need. So nobody gets into crime for the hell of it. None of you are doing this thing because you just decided to, right? It's not just like it wasn't career day and they're like you should be a super, right? There's something that drove you to this. There's some reason you need to do this, and if that thing is on your sheet going to be a countdown clock, or on the larger sheet in the background, it's going to be a countdown clock, and if that clock reaches 0, or if that clock fills all the way up, it's going to be catastrophic for you, right? Something super bad is going to happen. So, let's talk about Lonnie McGillicuddy's need.
Yeah, that's actually kind of a sticking point, and I'm figuring it out. Like, I'm torn between two different things.
Okay, what are they?
I am trying to decide if he's trying to build a big enough nest egg to accommodate his extended family at this point, or if he's trying to find a way back to the Rock to get his immortality.
Okay, those are both good.
I love
real good.
I just love the fact that the first one, basically the whole geometric population pressure is what's gotten you. I make good money, don't I? But there are so many.
Very prolific spawn.
You live a long time, you get around a bit. Don't judge me, okay? Yeah. Oh, they're both excellent choices, and
They are really good.
You know what? I've done a person who's a family man. I'm just going to be a selfish bastard. I want to be immortal. I don't want to go. So I got to figure out a way to get that rock back.
So find the rock again to become. This is what I'm writing down. So you can tell me if this doesn't. Find the rock again to become immortal / regain lost youth.
Yep.
Failure equals death. If this clock closes,
I hear you.
And bearing in mind that this is a comic book and B, already a party with 2 people associated with hell.
Oh yeah,
time traveler.
Like,
So like,
oh yeah, this
is not necessarily career ending.
Oh no,
right?
That's absolutely it. That might be half of why he hangs out with these young whippersnappers. Because he's getting himself an in.
I'm going to start a clock on roll 20 here. I'll make a note on the other one too, but I'm going to grab a clock, and I'm thinking that sounds like an 8-section clock, and that sounds like it's going to be titled Lonnie's Immortality Rock.
Oh boy.
So the way these work is that every session, everybody's clock is going to tick up once. Okay? Mm-hmm. When the clock reaches the top, when the clock fills up, the bad thing that we talk about tonight is going to happen. All right? And there are basically 2 things you can do about that. You can plan ahead and try to do some shit about it, which is going to involve downtime action called plotting, and probably organizing some jobs around the idea. Like, if you go find out that there's a chunk of rock in the city somewhere to go get, Lonnie, and you go get it, and then you like figure out how to activate it and do all that stuff, then you just fix it. The clock is gone, and you're just
I'm immortal now.
Yeah. The other thing that you can do while that's not working out, or while you're trying to get that done, is there's a downtime action called delay. And what you do is you take it and you tell me what you're doing to try to keep things from going wrong, and then it just doesn't tick forward that night. right?
Mhm.
So you can keep spending downtime actions to keep it from ticking forward, and or you can address it directly. Okay?
Right. No, I like this mechanic.
I'm hoping it turns out okay. I'm not. This is a brand new thing that I'm like. I wanted a way to put pressure on the players, like, because sometimes in Blaze, I love Blaze in the Dark, but sometimes I've experienced where like, well, what are we doing tonight? Where are we going with the crew? And like, I want you folks to have like a vested interest in where we're fucking going tonight. Like, I want that to happen. So this is the way that I want that to be a thing. Okay, so that's Lonnie's. Damien, you are next. What is your need, Damien?
Come on, you know what my need is.
But here's the question, right? What is the thing that's pushing you to punch God? What is the bad thing that happens if you don't punch God?
You won't have a date to the prom.
Like, did Dad give you a countdown? Like, is this the thing that's like?
I mean, to fit in with your thing, is there a certain date on which you must punch God, or he won't be able to be punched again anytime soon?
I mean, sure, but like that means the character gets retired after that date.
No. It means that all sorts of hell rains down on that character if the clock fills.
Yeah, but having to punch God by a certain time, like that doesn't make like pushing that out doesn't with downtime actions doesn't make a lot of sense. Like,
What if somebody's hunting him?
getting the things that I need to punch because somebody else is going to try to shoot God before I can punch him.
Well, no, somebody's coming to banish you back to the underworld.
Right. I mean, the Catholic Church is an enemy.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Is this so? This is like.
Do they know?
You're on the last leg of like the not ascension, but
He's in dogma.
No, Longinus. Longinus is coming after him, and if Longinus finds him, like Bill Longinus or whoever.
The dogma joke is amazing too, right?
Yeah,
right. God's gonna be here because he's coming down from heaven to grant. What's the word for that thing where people pay money?
Plenary indulgence.
Their indulgences, yeah. And as long as he's in that church, I can go punch him.
Because when you walk out, you're forgiven.
Right.
Oh God, that would be hilarious. You punch God and then just walk away.
That's right.
What happened? Okay, so but still, like I like this. What happens if you fail?
I mean, theoretically, Lucifer gets mad at me, right? I fail my mission.
Yeah, like do you get like kicked out of the satanic succession? Like, are you here on?
No more trust fund.
Yeah, you're here on this game because like you are like a favored child of Satan, and like you are lining up for like okay, it's Lucifer, and you are like in line for some sort of like dukedom in hell.
Well,
Right.
like, this is your chance to prove yourself worthy.
Oh shit! Wait, no. This is like you know how Mormons get like that year that they go off and they find themselves or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's your missionary trip.
To
Except
punch God.
Oh, and then extensions are you
That's
just
not
basically...
Mormons. That's Quakers, right?
No,
well, you're thinking of Amish Rumspringa.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
yeah,
something religious.
yeah. But no, I can totally see that. Like extensions at that point are just proving to Lucifer that you're doing you're making progress.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm laying plans, so things aren't lost because it's a clock of when he loses faith in you.
Yeah.
Which is great for
when
the
Dad cuts you
atheist.
off. Yeah. Cuts you off, takes all your fun things away, and like makes you stay a kindergarten teacher and steal work.
To go back to the dogma thing, brother, you lost the faith. You just cut your wings off.
There you go.
You should have wings.
Well, he loses his horns.
I mean, both, right? Like there's so many
Yeah.
good things there.
Like, I mean, at that point, I think you're like the first Thor movie, right? Or like the old Thor comics, where the Donald Blake was cast to Earth with no power, or was cast to
Satan
Father,
cast
looking
throughout
down at the
dialogue.
ground, trying to start a fire. Father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you spend like the next however long like trying to find some way, like find like your little spindly kindergarten teacher arms punching God is the next scene, right? It's like, the payoff. All right. I think after we get this done, we can take a short break, and then we can, if everybody's up for it, we can start a job. So Enzo.
Yeah. Okay.
What's your need here? What's this?
I have two potential ones. One is being in Hawk to the demon, because I like the concept of basically being in the opposite side of what the Mafia does.
I'm cosplaying a mobster like...
But really badly, and like I'm on the wrong side of this loan transaction.
The other one, like the initial pitch I had was that like to stop the global surveillance state from making Mafia impossible. Like a more reasonable goal would be like, say there's some sort of upcoming law coming to be passed in the U.S. and I want it to not be passed because it ends up destroying the Mafia families that exist currently.
Yeah, I can see that. Like
that's a little bit more concrete and like realistic, and like if I fuck it up, then it's not just the answer of, well, the demon throws you to hell.
Well, yeah, but I think the really interesting thing there, right, is like something about this surveillance state interferes with your ability to communicate with your future self, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't stop it from happening,
The Notebook gets destroyed.
the notebook goes away, right?
Or
Yeah.
it fades out.
Yep. So harsh.
But yeah, I think that was more achievable. Like it's a reasonable scope goal. Let me put it that way, you know, and like you could delay it easily by various villainous means, you know.
Yeah. There's a whole sorts of things you can do. You can go like threaten legislators, or like go
Pay
up and
for
sabotage
lobbyists.
tech people, or like
Just
all sorts.
put a pile of money on somebody's desk.
Hey.
Cool. Also, notebook, future connections. Great. And then I am misspelling everything right now. It's awesome. Flynn,
Yes.
we talked a little bit about it before. What is your need?
I think the need is to get whatever agency that did what it did to him off his back.
Okay.
Whether that's killing all of them or buying a new identity or whatever we feel like doing.
Okay. Like they're like actively hunting for you, right?
Yes.
Okay. So in this case, failure to find a way out is being taken back in and used as a test animal. Like,
Probably,
I'm gonna put being found out, being located. Located and retrieved. Because that's more fun to play out. I want to watch you run from them once they find you.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's needs. That's a character. We just built. Everybody just built their character. Does that? So for a little fishing for a little bit of feedback, does that feel like a cohesive thing that we just did?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
yeah.
Do you feel like these are defined characters that we could like go knock over a bank with?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think I am missing that crew step, right?
Yeah.
Where even if it is just we form our evil league of evil, I think that like we actually do sort of interconnect character-wise, but I think that's just because all of us do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like ideally, the game should be pushing us towards that rather than us just doing it.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and like I said, I know it's a work in progress, so like I know you plan on doing that. I'm echoing that. I think that's a good idea.
yeah. I'm not entirely sure. I think, it's a word. I'm not sure whether I do want to do it geographically, where like everybody's from the same neighborhood essentially, or lives in the same neighborhood, and we're like, if you're in Steelport, you're just like in an old like warehouse sporting goods store that's been abandoned or whatever.
No, it's a dockside warehouse. Come on, you gotta go classic.
Okay, and then have it sort of build out from there, or whether I want there to be like themes, like you guys sort of went with like an underworld undeath, like fighting, like running from the devil sort of.
They're like literally all devil's bargains.
Yeah.
Like theme wise, for me, it's one of those things of what kind of crimes are you looking to do still to a certain extent. Are you going on acts of petty revenge? Are you just flat out thieves?
Well, I think, and I think that's so. Looking at, and do people need a break? By the way, should we break here and come back? Mike? You look like you're fading pretty fast.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just me, right? Like I am not. I will fade in and out. I will, but that's like that doesn't mean anything. That's just I'm exhausted all the time now.
Okay. Well, I am happy putting this away for a bit and picking it back up. If people want to call it a night here, there's a lot to digest. I'm happy calling for a break and coming back and discussing some. I'm happy going for a break and coming back and playing the game. I'm good with whatever. But we can call it now if this has been a lot. And I don't want to claim future Thursday slots, but...
We don't have future Thursdays roughed out yet, right? We just this nebulous going to do something super. So,
I mean, super. I can definitely chew on this more because, like I said, I'm getting this wonderful. It is sort of like a Sinister Six by way of Spawn thing we've got going on here.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
Fearsome 4.
Yeah, like so for full disclosure, I've been trying to figure out these crew sheets for a while. Like there's sort of one of the last things that I really need to like at least rough out to get the game in a really actually playable state. And so one of the things I thought about was just like, okay, so what is the League of, and just let you put the thing behind it. What is the League of, right? Is it the League of Assassins? Does it become the Legion of Doom? Like, what does that look like?
Evil League of Evil.
Yeah,
exactly.
The one I was trying to find a way to make like there's the Fearsome 5 and the Frightful 4 and the Sinister 6. I was trying to find a something numeral. Right.
Well, you just have a bunch of different numerals going on there, like the Terrible Trio and whatever.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So that was actually a thing that I was toying with a little bit. Is just have crews defined by how many members there are. For that reason.
So for crews, you should have they should all be like villain crews are all traditionally based around certain things, right? There's the Hall, right? The villains that are in it for money, right? To either there's like called to a greater power, like the ones that believe that what they're doing is like the Wilson Fisks, right? Where it's not just the money; they believe that they are making the city better by fixing things into their twisted visage. There's the Revenge Society, right? Like where they're all they're all focused on a single hero, like Sinister Six, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like the Legion of Doom is just like just generally antagonists, right? They're not focused on money. They're focused on thwarting heroes in general, as opposed to a specific hero.
Well, that's so part of what the need mechanic is supposed to do, right? Is your jobs. So in Blades, you're doing things for like rep and money, rep and coin,
Mm-hmm.
rep and coin,
Right.
rep and coin, rep and coin, because those are the two sorts of ways that you measure how you're getting better, right? Like even Blades does not necessarily have a mechanic that like counts your available coin to see how well you're doing, but it does have a if you get out of the job now, here's how nice your retirement is mechanic.
I think there
Right.
needs to be an Evil League of Evil or a Guild of Calamitous Intent
Mm-hmm.
backbone in the
Yeah.
world.
Basically, your union to punch the clock on things.
Because it,
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, even just something to keep us basically together and make sure we work together. I mean, because like the whole villain problem is that they're not, playing well with groups.
Well,
So
and
just
Some do,
yeah.
some don't.
Well, and that's part of the line that I was drawing, and I'm not discounting that point at all. I'm trying so that's part of the line I wanted to draw between like criminality and villainhood, right?
Mhm.
Like you start as criminals, and you do work together pretty well, and I think that's a good point. As having the crew be a thing that exists that ties people together is valuable because of that, right? But then as you get like more cartoonishly villainous, it gets harder and harder to work with the dude who's always fucking monologuing. And
or won't take off his
um,
Minotaur costume.
yeah, exactly.
It gets stanky.
And so like I want to see that happen. I also like there's no because supervillains and super criminals don't just in the comics especially they don't just do things for money. Some of them do. Some of them are like very money focused, right? You got your Electro and your Taskmaster who are and like a couple others. There's a number that are just like straight up mercenary. Like, yeah, they're paying me. I'm here. This is why I'm doing this, right? But then there's also people that like have their own plan for what they're doing and why they're doing it. Like most of the Luke Cage villains are there because they're amassing power for themselves, not necessarily money, but they're like finding ways to amass power inside that society for themselves, be a villain. So one of the things I want to try to focus away from is we're doing this for the money. I'm doing this for the money. Because initially then one of the needs that I keep coming to is like, okay, I got to pay my mortgage. Like they're going to take my house. Let's go knock over a bank. I need the money to pay my house, pay my mortgage. Yeah.
So, and I know this seems like a left turn, but what does heat look like in the system? Because, like, bringing a gun to a blade fight in Blaze in the Dark is supposed to be, ramping up, dramatic of ramping up. Like, so, and the reason I ask that is because we could define, better define the not protagonists, but the protagonists by their opposition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Heat looks a fair amount like Blades, right? At least initially, because you're doing this thing. If you wind up killing, because with Blades it's about killing people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Escalating to lethal violence.
Unleashes magical ghosts.
Yeah, that doesn't happen here, but it's around the same idea. Right?
Look, if you kill somebody, the more hardcore heroes start showing up,
Yes.
and nobody wants that.
Yeah, exactly. The Heat. So heroes are so far. If you look at the Argent City geography, and I'm going to be adding in more of these. Heroes are tied to some of them are tied to the neighborhoods, but even those are the ones that are sort of free range throughout the city. They're tiered, right? So superheroes are essentially the demons of the setting. Like in Blades, you fuck up a demon's around, right? And they will wreck your shit. And heroes are sort of the same way, right? And the way I'm working it right now is as your wanted, that's the cumulative heat thing. As
Correct.
your wanted level goes up, what?
Yeah, you're right. Go on.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for confirming. As your wanted level goes up, that determines the tier of hero that you attract, sort of as gadflies to your adventures, right? So, wanted level 0, you get like, what's the bite guy from One Punch Man? I can't remember his name.
The Mugen Rider or something like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, so somebody on that level, but like you get to tier 1 and you're like Robins and Batgirl start showing up, and you get to tier 2 and it's a wanted level 2 and your
Tick shows up.
Yeah. And it escalates up through 4 and 5 where the Sentinel from Silver City, which you guys may remember that were here for it, is like the highest tier in Silver City, and if that person is showing up, they're basically impervious to everything you're going to try to do against them. It's just like, get the fuck out of that town. The other sort of mechanic around heroes that I was thinking, or the other mechanical, so heroes all have a clock that you have to beat down in order to sort of take them out, right? And when you take them out, if you drop a hero, you automatically gain rep equal to their tier, right? Now, if you kill a hero, you immediately jump up a reputation tier because that's some shit that just ain't done. But you also immediately jump up a wanted tier as well because they're coming for you, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what wanted level looks like. It's going to have... So Blades has the entanglements that you roll for the wrap-up portion of the session, where you roll dice based on your heat, and you get results based on your wanted level. That will still exist. I'm not sure exactly what that looks like, but that's still a thing that I want to have happen. But in the larger ecology, as your wanted tier goes up, bigger and tougher and more superheroes are coming for your ass.
I still do feel like you need a crime organization that kind of balances things out. Criminal organization that is either devoted towards, instructing you to keep the peace, or and I know that Blades doesn't have a direct analog of this, but if there's a demarcation between being a criminal and doing these things and being a villain and being hard to work with, right? It feels like, maybe I'm wrong there. There should be I'll put the comment away and I'll think about it well.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll think about it. I get where you're coming from, and I can see where that would be useful. It's one of those things where, in the context of the game, I'm trying to think of the mechanical purpose it would serve. Because story-wise, yes, it makes sense. But for the purposes of having small teams of villains running around doing their thing, or, sorry, not villains, small teams of criminals running around doing their thing, it becomes one of those things where how much does it hinder versus help?
Well, I think in my mental, and this gets into why I want to run a Supers game, is there has to be a handle on use of force. Right.
You have to catch up on Venture Brothers.
I'm hoping to do so tomorrow after I am more rested. But
once you do that, we can revisit that conversation because
the goal of the criminal aspect of Blades, if increasing your heat brings down bigger and bigger heroes, then you don't want that to happen. And it seems like a fraternal order of criminals would be all hey, we don't do that sort of thing. We keep it down low. We don't kill people. As opposed to if Damian Maine, son of Lucifer, shows up with 3 of his friends and to knock over a bank, right? He's not going to be super concerned if he kills the security guards or something, right? Like bystanders, that would be bad, right? But like, um, you see what I'm saying? It's like or like the vulture, right? The vulture is worried about like most of the villains aren't worried about killing people, at least like street level folks, right? They're worried about drawing attention to themselves through other means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so I think that that's a different, and a lot of ways, I sort of I've been alluding to this in some of the player materials as well. Like this is Blades, but above the rim, right? Like this is like the Blades, but everyone can do like the 3-point windmill slam version of Blades. And so what heat is and what sort of like the function, but the order of magnitude of what heat is different than Blades. And I think I need to make that more clear, right? Like in Blades, if you're in like the weird, like in a carriage running away from like
The watch.
6 or 7 blue coats, that's a crazy ass situation, right? In this game, like if your demolisher has to punch apart like 6 cop cars, that's
a run.
You know, it was a rough night, but it was survivable, right?
Right. Like yeah, like knowing how you get heat, I think would probably.
The thing about the heat scale in Blades also is it is subjective.
Mm-hmm.
Because it talks about what your level of exposure is. Now, what you do is you just have to set the heat scale in Argent City to calibrate for what you expect. So, and you just have to explain what that scale is when you go to do it. So, what gains you on 8 heat in Argent City might be, something where you bring down a major skyscraper or a city block. That's what wild, devastating exposure is in this game. You knock over a few walls, tear through a car or two. That's the price of doing business. That's like 2 heat, maybe 3 heat if a bystander got hurt.
Yeah, yeah. So that's sort of what I was getting at too. Yeah, that's well put. What you do here is worth less heat than it would be in Blades, because that's just the sort of vibe, right? Like that's
you're on a different tier in this game. Go ahead, Jonathan. Sorry.
You kind of firmly have to establish where in comic books you are, because in Superman Adventures, the TV show that was part of the animated league thing, like buildings got trashed and stuff like that, but it was almost always shown that there was nobody nearby and stuff like that, and so it wasn't a big deal. And it's just those default assumptions on like certain major motion pictures where it was like the dude fly through the building, and it's just the question of what genre tropes you're embracing, because like in typical Marvel comics, you can trash downtown with some cars being thrown all over the place, and it's kind of assumed nobody really dies, and if it does, it's not really talked about. Whereas in other styles of comic books, like trashing a car would be a big deal.
Yeah.
It's like there's a difference between Spider-Man tossing around a couple cars and the Punisher blowing up a couple cars.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a good difference there, where the Punisher obviously kills people and blows shit up, and it's a huge problem. Whereas, like, Spider-Man catches, like, a car that Rhino threw and just tosses it to the side. Yeah, whatever. No one's
like,
really...
smashes other people with cars, and nobody dies in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
like, Spider-Man is clearly exercising lethal force.
Well, that's also sort of part of the reason I'm keeping the city segmented the way I am is partially for that level of like that spectrum, right? That sort of spectrum of approach, especially specifically with like death in So in Silver City, like Silver City, occasionally people die, right? Occasionally, not always, occasionally. In Steelport, like hilarious amounts of people die, just constantly, right? In Bronzebridge, it's basically nobody died because it's where Luke Cage fights people on trains. Like it's just that way, right? And so I think with that being my intent, I need to find a way to communicate that. Like if we're in Steelport, you can shoot up a bank and it's just like that's the thing that happens.
What the hell are you doing opening a bank in Steelport, basically?
Yeah.
But if you do the same thing in Silver City, like stuff gets bad real fast. Because you don't do that in Superman's town. Right? You do that in the Punisher's town.
Right.
Or maybe
Keep that shit to
Gotham.
the Hell's Kitchen. Right.
Yeah, or maybe Gotham. Although Gotham is turning into very like old money-ish in my write-up. So there's the St. Martha's Cathedral
With Father Thomas. I saw what you did.
Why did you say that name?
And Kane Manor, must we?
Oh, Kane Manor, yeah, Kane Manor. Yeah, so I think and that's all definitely stuff that I'm still sort of grappling with, and need to make more clear my intent so that other people can tell me I'm still wrong, essentially. Crews are a thing that I'm. So one of the reasons I haven't done crew sheets yet is because I haven't like mocked up even a basic crew sheet. It's because crew sheets are a huge pain in the ass.
Funny thing about that, yeah.
They're a huge pain in the ass. And apparently there's a template available for doing Blades crew sheets in a couple of different like design programs, but they were a backer to reward on the Kickstarter for Blades.
Dang it.
I was not on.
I don't know. I
So-
mean, if John's at this fan meetup thing this Saturday, maybe I can ask him about it.
I mean, sure. Please, yes, definitely. Please bring up my game to John Hart. That's great. I want more attention from that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll bring the baleful eye
Nice
sword
guy.
right on you, buddy.
No. I'm okay. Like he's a great person. I just like on my Twitter thread where I'm like doing my sort of brain splatters about the game. I specifically didn't tag him because I'm like, John doesn't even know about this shit at any point right now. Like,
Yeah.
later maybe, but this is like way below this point. So, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Are we still broadcasting?
Yes, we are.
Always
We just
forever.
sit there BSing for like the last half hour or whatever, so.
Not really BSing. Talking about game design, which is a
no,
fun system.
Oh, it's fair. Yeah.
I would be happy to let people go get some sleep. And if you folks are amenable, picking it up next week to do the first actual job / downtime rotation and all that.
Yeah, let's do it.
I didn't
sounds
make this
good to me.
gunslinger for nothing.
Yeah. And hopefully by then I'll have some sort of idea what the rest of that looks like. At least the crew sheets, at least I'll try to put something together that makes any amount of sense whatsoever. But it's still a thing I'm noodling because, like I said, I just don't know. Because you're not going to be like the Blades versions, right? Are like very sneaky, or like socially based, or like occult, and then there's the one that every single crew in this game is going to be, which is the Bravos, where we kick down doors and blow shit up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I'll talk with you more about it when we're talking about it. Like I could sit here and talk game design with superhero shit all night with you, but like people gotta rest and
Yeah.
respect that.
All right.
Yeah, let's
Good night,
noodle
everybody.
this. Oh, I gotta press the stop button. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
All right, let's
my
noodle about this
ear-
in the thread, and then we'll figure out what. Oh shit! Like what button stops the presentation? All right.
Thanks for coming out tonight, folks.
Good night, Internet. Thank you for watching us be strange.
Yay! Oh, shout out to PA Arlings who just subscribed to Twitch Prime. So thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Aura. Great.
Hey, Aura. How's it going, Aura?
All right, good night, y'all.
Good
Night, Internet.